What if I told you that everything you think you know about Chrissy and Jim Jones is a total fabrication? I think you heard me right. In a single act, Camron, the Camron we all know, destroyed all they had constructed. What if I told you that? You won't believe the things he just disclosed, I assure you. He came into that courtroom and destroyed their small world. The twist, though, is that Jim Jones, who we all thought was untouchable and could do no wrong, lost everything in one act. The walls fell down around him, and he stood there naked in front of the world. And Chrissy, you won't even recognize her now, thought she could get away with it. Are you certain that Chrissy was the driving force behind this whole situation? Do you honestly believe that Camron just unveiled a scandal that will astound you, and that Jim Jones was unaware that the reality was far worse than you realize? What happens if the people you trust most publicly turn against you? Way possible when everything you've put so much effort into building falls apart. This is the year's biggest celebrity scandal, not just another one. Are you ready to be totally surprised? This is only the beginning, so stay put. As the days passed, the situation grew increasingly complex, and the public became fully involved in the trial rather than only observing it. Each fresh leak and rumor further fueled the flames, age that had come to light. It was hazy and inconclusive, but it showed two persons in a car that could have been Melly and his accused co-conspirator, Portland. In the absence of information, it was impossible to predict whether Melly would escape punishment or whether the evidence against him would be too strong. An additional piece of evidence that might complicate matters even more? The defense team capitalized on this ambiguity by claiming that the video was too vague to be used as evidence in court, and that it was just another attempt to mislead the jury and raise questions about the case. A tactic intended to sway public opinion rather than present a factual account of what transpired. But the prosecution was also not giving up. They seized the footage, pointing out that it still showed Melly at the scene at a crucial juncture, even though it might not be completely clear. The fact that Melly had made ambiguous threats before the killings, however, was even more worrisome. They said that Melly had expressed frustration and rage at being betrayed, and some even claimed that he had threatened to take action. As if things couldn't get any worse, Portland Mellier's longtime friend and co-defendant finally took action. For weeks, there had been rumors of a possible plea agreement, and now, in a startling turn of events, it seemed to be imminent. Portland was discussing a lower sentence with the prosecution, according to confirmation from his defense team. Was this the attitude of a naive man, or did it portend something far more sinister? Later, Portland had been Mellier's final line of defense for his tale. Therefore, the prospect of him turning on him was a fatal blow to his case, because the prosecution had an insider who was well aware of the events leading up to the killings. As Portland's move triggered a surge of whispers and worry over whether Mellier's best defense would be the last, the courtroom was on fire, and the tension was palpable. The Free Melly movement seemed to be fading as more and more people started to question the rapper's innocence, and his fans were shocked that a friend was going to turn on him for a reduced sentence. But it didn't stop there. A whistleblower, a former member of Mellier's inner circle, came forward and claimed to have direct knowledge of Mellier's involvement in the murders. The whistleblower, who was offered anonymity for their security, claimed to have participated in the naturally. The defense tried to dismiss the whistleblower by saying that they were just a resentful former partner looking for money and publicity. But the testimony was shocking and appeared to validate the darkest suspicions of those who thought Melly was guilty. Additionally, they asserted that Melly had confessed to them in private discussions regarding the specifics of the killings, and that they had witnessed Melly discard evidence. A recording that was leaked of Melly and his attorney discussing a possible plea agreement. The evidence against Melly was starting to take shape in the recording, and the walls were closing in on him with every new piece of evidence. Agreement. It would show that he was willing to admit his guilt, which could be enough to overturn the jury's decision for good. The audio was promptly used by the prosecution, who used it as proof that Melly knew he was guilty and was trying to reach an agreement to avoid the repercussions of his conduct. The public was now questioning every element of Mellier's case, and the harm had already been done when the defense, of course, rejected the recording's legitimacy. Everyone's opinions were split, as the trial drew to a close because the judicial drama had grown into a global spectacle that the media was unable to report. Some admirers started to feel the weight of the evidence against him, while others remained loyal to him, claiming that he was the victim of a vast conspiracy and that the system was biased against him. Is it possible? Did Melly indeed commit the offenses for which he was charged? The world seemed to be watching, anticipating the verdict. Yet, even as the case reached its peak, Melly's speech to the court during the trial's closing moments was the most startling development of all. With each new development in the case, including updates, leaks, and twists, social media went crazy. Influencers and celebrities shared their thoughts on Melly's guilt or innocence. As the world would soon learn, there remained the question of whether Melly's impassioned plea to the court would be enough to convince a jury that he was innocent. In his tearful testimony, he maintained his innocence and denied any role in the killings, his hardships, and his constant attempts to act morally. There was no doubt that everything had changed because of this case. Y.W. Melly's narrative was about more than just a murder trial. It was about a system, a celebrity, and how fame and wealth collided in unexpected ways. As the trial drew to a conclusion, the jury debated, and everyone held their breath, wondering if Melly would be found guilty or escape punishment despite the overwhelming evidence against him. The scene was prepared for the final act, causing a stir on social media. But what happens when the truth comes out? The secrets begin to come out, and you're thrust into an uncontrollable scandal. Although Camron didn't reveal all of his secrets in court, he has been letting them come out one by one, and they are slowly destroying Jim and Chrissy's ship. The public isn't aware of everything. When Camron entered the stand, he revealed an enterprise based on deceit, manipulation, and falsehoods, according to the court records he purportedly had in his possession. He wasn't only discussing money manipulation or dominating relationships. The fact that investigative journalists now possess records demonstrating that Jim wasn't the only person making decisions regarding his income and career is startling. That's correct. All the threads were being pulled behind the scenes by Chrissy, who has become well known as Jim's ride-or-die girlfriend. She was more than simply a helpful girlfriend. She was in charge of handling the finances, making the important choices, and deciding how their relationship would develop. And that's only the beginning. As you can see, Chrissy was the one with her hands all over the cash and riches they were accumulating, even if Jim was the one rapping and entertaining the crowd in front of the cameras at his gigs. We're not just talking about a few endorsement deals here. We're talking about offshore accounts, shell companies, and a network of concealed assets. She was apparently the genius behind everything pertaining to their commercial activities that very few people knew about, and all of this happened while Jim was focused on his work, thinking Chrissy had his back. However, Camron wasn't finished yet. Rather, he took it to a whole new level when he began discussing the negative aspects of their relationship. According to unnamed sources familiar with the matter, Chrissy wasn't only in charge of Jim's finances, she was also involved in managing his public image. Every decision he made, every agreement he signed, everything was carefully planned, had created over the years. Now, let's discuss the money laundering part of this situation, because, believe me, it's serious. According to sources, Camron allegedly discovered that Jim and Chrissy had engaged in some dubious financial transactions, by which I mean that illicit funds intended for their business were being transferred into shell corporations through hidden accounts. The worst part is that it wasn't even an error. Rather, it was a well-planned scheme to conceal their wealth and keep it out of the public eye. Camron wasn't going to let them get away with it, and he revealed everything in that courtroom, including Chrissy's manipulation of Jim and the financial schemes they had been operating covertly. And guess what? It didn't end there, according to those same people. Anonymous sources claim that the couple's dark secrets date back to the beginning of their relationship. From the beginning, Chrissy had been using Jim as a pawn in her complex scheme to gain wealth and power, to take control of Jim's life and future. Additionally, it should be noted that Jim Jones is not just any celebrity. He is a rapper, businessman, and well-known figure in the hip-hop industry. industry. In a tragic way, it's almost poetic that he was being played by someone he trusted. Jim worked hard to build his career and made a name for himself. But behind closed doors, Chrissy was subtly making decisions that would affect their financial future and control his every move. But wait, we're not done yet. This whole situation isn't just about relationship drama or financial manipulation. It's also about public perception, and that's where things get. It's to note that as soon as Camron revealed the truth about what was actually happening, the public went crazy on social media, with fans attacking Jim and Chrissy in a way they had never seen before. The shockwaves that swept the internet caused everyone, from hip-hop fans to onlookers, to start researching their past and exposing all of their dubious actions. People began to ask, was everything we saw on TV just a lie? Was their relationship all for show? Cameron's response was, yes. But then came the part that really hit home. Jim Jones was no longer in charge after the courtroom revelations were made public, and his empire began to fall apart. Even his closest supporters began to turn against him, wondering if they had fallen for the carefully crafted lies by Chrissy. The betrayal was real, the damage was undeniable, but the question, where does Jim go from here? The truth is that the damage caused by these revelations may be irreparable. Yes, Jim is a fighter and a survivor, but it isn't just about a battle with Camron or some fictional TV drama. It's about his entire public image being destroyed by someone he trusted most. And worse, he's lost control of the narrative, with the public now doubting everything he's ever said and done. To handle at this point, if you believe that Jim is having a difficult time, wait until you see how Chrissy is handling everything. After everything that has been made public, she isn't exactly winning popularity contests, and fans, and even some of her friends are beginning to see her for who she really is. The backlash will only get worse, but we're only just beginning. The public fallout is just getting started, and I assure you that isn't going to get worse. More secrets will surface. So, buckle up, because this roller coaster is just getting started. Keep an eye out for what's coming next because you never know what will happen. Now that we've examined the mess, the scandal, and the public chaos, let's talk about the aftermath because that's where things get even more intense. The courtroom drama, the lies, and the financial secrets are just the beginning. Jim Jones's reputation is in ruins. He went from being a well-respected member of the hip-hop community to being the target of rumors and mockery in the blink of an eye. You know how the internet operates. One mistake, one leak, one shocking revelation, and it's like you're just a hashtag. Jim Jones defrauded anyone, and worse, people are no longer supporting him, which is not something you want to do. On respect, loyalty, and street cred, having your closest allies turn against you is like having your back stabbed. But here's the worst part. His career isn't just personal, it's also professional. His music isn't even making an impression on the charts. His brand is struggling. His tours have been cut back, and ticket sales aren't even close to what they used to be. Associate with a man who is now publicly perceived as weak, manipulative, and possibly involved in illicit activities. Let's face it, nobody in the hip-hop industry wants to be the next to be exposed for doing business with a scammer. As a result, losing your reputation and career means losing everything, or at the very least, all the control you once believed you had. It's no longer just about being a rapper with a few hits. It's about surviving the damage to your... In the meantime, Chrissy Lampkin isn't doing much better. If you thought her involvement in this drama would go unnoticed, think again. She's been dragged through the mud alongside Jim, and the worst part is that she may have started it all. She's now being revealed as the true mastermind behind the manipulation and deceit. Jim's toll from this type of scandal doesn't go away easily. Though she may have deceived the public for years, she is now the one facing the consequences, because the public views her as nothing more than a manipulative figure, and her reputation is collapsing more quickly than a house of cards. However, don't take my word for it. Let's discuss the fallout based on sources, and I'm talking about some actual insider information. Chrissy was allegedly running the show behind the scenes, pulling strings and using Jim as a puppet in a larger game. of manipulation. Chrissy Exposed is trending, and every tweet, meme, and comment serves as a reminder that the public is done with her. She is no longer viewed as the devoted girlfriend supporting her man. Instead, she is being portrayed as a scheming individual who exploited her relationship for personal gain. Fans are demanding answers and calling for Chrissy to be held accountable for the way she controlled Jim's career and finances. And that's a story that's difficult to shake off. Now, let's talk about the legal ramifications because, wow, things are getting serious. The courtroom drama revealed not only personal secrets, but also some serious legal red flags. We're talking about possible financial fraud, money laundering, and business deal manipulation. And you can bet your bottom dollar that things will get messy when the law starts to snoop around. There are ongoing investigations into the couple's financial dealings, according to reports from anonymous sources. Authorities are reportedly investigating potential money laundering schemes, offshore accounts, and hidden assets. These are not merely accusations being made in the media. Actual investigations are taking place. If the allegations are accurate, we may face serious charges such as tax evasion and even criminal conspiracy. This is no small matter, people. When the chips are down, and the chips are down, the first person to jump ship is usually the one pulling the strings. Chrissy has been accused of manipulating Jim by using his career as a stepping stone to build her own empire. But what happens when her circumstances change? This is where it gets even more juicy. Jim Jones may no longer be in control, but Chrissy isn't off the hook either, according to sources close to the situation. Empire begins to fall apart. Does she put Jim under the bus? You bet she does, and that's the next stage of the fallout. According to sources, things are becoming ugly behind the scenes between Jim and Chrissy. This isn't just a personal breakup. It's a public and professional split that will have long-lasting effects on the couple's financial affairs, business endeavors, and relationship. The tension is growing every day. What does it mean for Jim and Chrissy's future? Well, we know that it will be a long and bumpy road, and nobody will soon forget the mess they've made. The public is watching them closely, so they better be prepared for what's coming next, because the truth always finds a way to surface. And in this case, it's already made public. Let's, shall we? Jim and Chrissy thought they could fool time. We'll tell. But one thing is certain. This scandal isn't going away anytime soon. What's happening now isn't just about a couple's failed relationship. It's about an empire built on lies and manipulation. And we're all watching as it all comes crashing down. Will Jim be able to pick up the pieces? Will Chrissy escape this unscathed? Or will she be left holding the bag for everything she's done? Because this story is more complicated than it first appears to be. That concludes today's explosive story. But believe me, we're just getting started. The drama, the lies, the betrayal. His saga is far from over, and you want to be the first to know what happens next? So now is your chance to join the discussion. Do you think Jim Jones will recover from this huge scandal? Can Chrissy save her reputation, or has she lost it all? If you're shaken by all the twists and turns we've uncovered today, don't forget to like this video. It's about time the truth came out, right? If you want more juicy exposés like this one, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications because we're always digging deep to bring you the real deal. Let's see who's still on their side and who's ready to cancel them both. Please, share your thoughts in the comments below. Stories you won't find anywhere else, I promise. You won't want to miss what we have in store for you next, so fasten your seatbelts because the drama is only beginning, and it will only get more bizarre from here, not wanting to miss a moment of it.